Keep the applause going. Johnathon Galliene, come on down.
I was just waiting for you to finish evaluating my shorts. This is by Sam Van Cooke. It's called God in Code. The poet Rumi wrote about God in code. One tale is that his Sufi religion was illegal during his lifetime. So by concealing his reverence for God and the imagery of alcohol, by in fact hiding the divine in vice, Rumi was able to continue his sacred tradition unhindered. The poet Tupac wrote about God and revolution, hidden in the violence and oppression of this society. One tale is his very race was illegal during his lifetime, and so by concealing reverence for his people, Tupac was able to continue his sacred tradition unhindered. The poet Christ did not conceal God in his writing. He was killed for his beliefs and then raised from the dead in the stories of his followers. The poet Tupac was killed and then raised from the dead by non-believers. In the desert of Southern California, on an ancient indigenous burial ground, turned polo field, turned music festival, where brown people once buried their dead and white people, like me, now get high. What privilege to dance on graves whose names you do not know. In 2012, at the Coachella Music Festival, with more than 85,000 people gathered to watch the poet Tupac resurrected as hologram, they transformed his flesh to light and forced him to pray. And through prayer, they showed the masses his God would not come. In this country, the poet Christ is primarily worshipped by those who wish him white, who choose not to think of him as a man oppressed for his race, who choose not to think of Christ as a product of human politics. Instead, they pray to his body nailed to the cross that he was killed on, call his murder a miracle, and then oppress in his name. The American translations of Rumi are amongst the most popular poetry in the world. Their translator speaks no Persian, no Arabic language whatsoever, and his translations neatly sidestep any reverence to oppression. These are allusions crafted for white folk, for me, to help me keep my breakfast down while I read the newspaper, to help me swallow bullshit like post-racial America. The allusion says race is solved in whispers. Don't worry, everyone is slowly turning white. And so the hologram will never tell us Tupac came from a family of black revolutionaries. The hologram will never tell us the poet Tupac died violently as a result of his own violence and that of a violent system. The hologram says nothing about institutionalized racism, nothing about racism at all. And even now, in this poem, I know whose stories I tell. I am aware of what privilege it is to speak on someone else's oppression, to speak on 3 texts by dark-skinned poets with all the same pages cut out, all the same words redacted. Oppression, revolution, race. Just absent. A black poet, a Sufi prayer, a Jewish preacher, all turned into white prophets. It's an old trick. It's so easy to make someone speak once they are dead.